Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our annual general meeting. The time is 11 o'clock. We will now have the national anthem to start the meeting. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to welcome you to the 41st Annual General Meeting of our company. The Lagos State Government Directive on COVID protocols is that meetings of this size, there will be no more than 50 people in attendance. We've secured the approval of the CAC to hold this meeting by proxy. In addition, it is being streamed live for the benefit of our shareholders, regulators, and others who are not physically present. Based on the CAC's approval to convene the AGM by way of proxies, the company registrars have received and executed proxy forms set in by the shareholders. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, let me very, very quickly introduce members of the board of directors of our company, and the other members of the audit committee, and all the other members of the statutory regulators who are here. Just before I do that, I just want to call Mr. Raymond Akotoka to present the proxy report. Is he here?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Board of Directors, and distinguished shareholders of Okomu PLC. I welcome you to the 41st Annual General Meeting of Okomu PLC. As registrars, we are here to present the proxy reports for this meeting. We received a total of 189 duly executed proxies, amounting to 701,206,331 units of Okomu PLC shares. And this constitutes approximately 73.51% of the issued share capital of the company. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Know that all votes will be by poll. The registrars will be counting the votes cast. Each shareholder has been given a voting device, and results will be displayed online for all those attending. I confirm that the Register of Directors Holdings is available for inspection by members and others attending in compliance with the requirements of Section 301, subsection 8. The register can be inspected at the registrar's table, and I will now introduce our directors that are here. To my extreme right, Mr. Aswe Igodalo, who is a non-executive director of our company. To my extreme left is Mr. Peter Igwasa.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you, Most High God, who have made it possible for us to gather this morning to deliberate the affairs of our great company, Okomu Palm Oil PLC. Father, we can't do without you. Come and be the chairman of this occasion. Come and take proceedings that at the end of this meeting, all glory and honor will be unto you in the name of Jesus. Thank you for the height you have taken this company. Over the years, we have seen great achievement. We have seen marvelous things being done. but Father, is continued to be continuously. This company continue to give the good dividend to the shareholders, and profitability this company will continue to achieve. Bless the workers, bless the management, bless the board, and bless us with the shareholder, the customers of this company. Father, we put them into your hand. Despite the pandemic, we have achieved a lot of success. It is you alone who have made it possible. Accept our thanks in the mighty name of Jesus. Thank you, Father, at the end of this meeting. We praise your name continuously and continue for what you are going to do. Thank you for security of life and property of our company. Thank you for the nations. Father, we ask for peace to reign in our land. Blessed be your name. In Jesus' mighty name we have prayed. Amen.
Thank you, Mr. Okeze. As you are aware, our company secretary, Mr. Chubuke Onwusoro, who was here with us last year, passed away very early this year. I would just like us to observe a minute silence in repose of his soul. If we could just be upstanding for a minute, please. May his gentle soul rest in peace. Chief Paul Obi, managing partner of PCOB & Co., our secretary is here today in person. I now call on the company secretary to read the notice convening the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Mr. Distinguished shareholders of Okomu Oil. May I crave your indulgence to read the relevant parts of the notice convening this meeting. Notice is hereby given that the 41st Annual General Meeting of the members of Okomu Oil Company PLC will be held at the Harbour Point Event Center on Wednesday, May 26, 2021 at 11 a.m. to transact the following. Ordinary business. 1. To receive and consider the audited accounts for the year ended 31st December 2020, together with the reports of the directors, auditors, board appraisals, and audit committee members thereon. 2. To declare a dividend. 3. To re-elect the following directors whose profiles appear in the annual report and on the company website. 1. Mr. Philip Detrox, the warden, as a non-executive director. Mr. Herbert Fabry, as a non-executive director. Mr. Sven Clays, as a non-executive director. To elect the following directors whose profiles appear in the annual report and on the company's website. Mr. Asue Igodalo, as a non-executive director. Mrs. Vivian Shobo, as an independent non-executive director, to authorize the directors to appoint the auditors and fix their remuneration. 5. 6. To elect members of the audit committee. And 7. To disclose the remuneration of managers. Special business. To fix the remuneration of the directors. And 9. To amend the Memorandum and Articles of Association of the company to reflect the new requirements as stated in Companies and Other Matters Act 2020, which changes appear in the following pages and or clauses of the company's amended Memorandum and Articles of Association, namely A, pages 1 to 33. These amendments to the Memorandum and Articles of Association are also available on the company's website and with the Office of the Secretary for perusal. Proxy. Okomu Oil PLC, as a responsible corporate company, is aware of the unusual challenges posed by COVID-19 pandemic and careful of the need for all to take action to check the spread of the virus. To this end, the management of Okomu Oil Palm Company PLC has put stringent internal measures in place to safeguard its workers from the pandemic. Workers have also been encouraged to comply with the safety precautions as recommended by the government, WHO, Ministry of Health and Management of Okomu PLC. To ensure the safe conduct of the 41st Annual General Meeting in accordance with the Health Advisory of Nigerian Center for Disease Control on physical distancing and the restriction of mass gatherings due to COVID-19 pandemic, and in line with guidelines issued by Corporate Affairs Commission on the conduct of annual general meetings of public companies by proxies, Okomu Oil Palm Company has obtained the approval of CAC to hold the AGM with attendance by proxies. Shareholders are hereby notified that attendance shall only be by proxy and shall be limited to a maximum of 50 people, the maximum crowd size currently permitted by Lagos State Government to the host city of the meeting. A member entitled to attend and vote at the annual general meeting may appoint a proxy to attend and vote in his or her stead. A proxy need not be a member of the company. However, in view of the foregoing, shareholders are encouraged to select from the underlisted proposed proxies to attend and vote in their stead at the meeting. A. Mr. G. Oyebode, MIFR, Mr. A. Igodalo, Dr. G. Hifa, Mr. A. Ahengs, Mr. M. Igrude, Sir S. Nwosu, Mr. A. Adio, Chief Balogun Okelano, Mr. B. Okezie, Mrs. E. Adenike, and Mrs. V. Christie. A proxy is attached to the annual report or can be found on the company's website. All executed proxy forms should be emailed to registrars cardinalstone.com or deposited at the office of the registrars, Cardinal Registrars Limited at 335-337 Herbert Macaulay Road, Yaba, Lagos, not later than 48 hours before the time for the meeting. For the appointment of a proxy to be valid for the purposes of the meeting, the company has made arrangements to bear the cost of stamp duties on the instrument of proxy. Dividend qualification date. Members whose names appear on the register of members at the close of business on Thursday, 13th May.
My statement is on pages 12, 13, and 14 of the annual report. With your kind approval, thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. Item 1 on the agenda is with respect to the accounts. As you'll be aware, the meeting's attendance is by proxy. Therefore, votes on the resolutions will be by poll except for item 6 on the election of audit committee members. Registrars will count the votes on the agenda items and announce the results. I now invite the registrars to explain the voting process to shareholders.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, distinguished shareholders. I believe we all have our voting devices for this meeting. Now, taking a look at your voting devices, there are 3 key buttons on your voting device. There are 3 key buttons on your voting devices. For any shareholder who intends voting in favor of a resolution, you press the number 1 button and thereafter press the OK button to submit your votes. If you are voting against any resolution, you press the number 2 button and thereafter press the OK button to submit your votes. And if you're abstaining from any resolution, you press the number 3 button and thereafter press the OK button to submit your votes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. So we have 9 items on the agenda for today's meeting. I will proceed to item 1 on the agenda, and that's to lay before the meeting the financial report for the year ended 31st December 2020 with the auditor's report thereon. I will now call on the representative of Howard Dafinone, our external auditors, to read the accounts, which is on pages 28 and 29 of the accounts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished shareholders, members of the board, the independent auditor's report. Opinion. We have audited the financial statements of Okomu Oil Palm Company PLC, which comprise the statement of profit and loss and other comprehensive income, the statement of financial position as at 31st December 2020, the statement of changes in equity, the statement of changes in cash flow for the year then ended, other explanatory notes, the statement of value added, and the financial summary. These financial statements are set out on pages 30 to 61 and have been prepared using the significant accounting policies set out on pages 34 to 42. In our opinion, the financial statements give a true and fair view of the financial position of the company as at 31st March 2020 and of the financial performance and the cash flows for the year ended on that date, and comply with the applicable international financial reporting standards in the manner required by the Financial Reporting Council Act of Nigeria No. 6, 2011, and the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. Basis of opinion. We conducted our audit in accordance with international standards on auditing and in the manner required by Nigerian standards on auditing. Our responsibilities are further described in the auditor's responsibilities for the financial statements. We believe that the audit evidence we have obtained is sufficient and appropriate to provide us with a reasonable basis for our audit opinion. Independence. We are independent of the company in accordance with the International Ethics Standards Board for Accountants Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants, IESPA Code. We have fulfilled our ethical responsibilities in accordance with this code. Information other than financial statements and auditor's report. The director's report and other information contained therein are the responsibility of management and directors. Our opinion does not cover this report, and accordingly we do not express any form of assurance conclusion thereon. It is our responsibility to read the other information, and in doing so, consider whether the information is materially consistent with the financial statements or with knowledge obtained from the audit or otherwise appears to be materially misstated. If based on our work we conclude that there is such material misstatement within the other information and reports, we are required to report that fact in accordance with Section 4075 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020. We have nothing to report in that regard. Key audit matters are those matters which, in our professional judgment, were of significant importance in the performance of the audit of the financial statements. These matters were fully addressed during the audit of the financial statements as a whole and informing our opinion. We do not provide a separate opinion on these matters. Revenue. Our audit tests performed and responses thereon. The primary determinant and key indicator performance is the revenue generated given the nature of its business. The total revenue for this year increased significantly to 23.4 billion from 18.9 billion in 2019. We have reviewed the documentation and tested the accounting systems and control pertaining to the processing and delivery, the receipt and recording of contractual income in respect of such revenue. The results of the test provided sufficient evidence that reliance could be placed on such systems. We have also obtained written representation from management, particularly confirming that the override of the systems by management did not occur. We have accordingly placed reliance on these systems. We carried out substantive tests in respect of the revenue and trade receivables that existed at the reporting date, and obtained written confirmation from related parties on the volume and value carried out through these related parties. We also confirmed that the sales to the related parties were at arm's length and that all revenue that was earned met the requirements of IFRS 15 and other relevant standards. We also reviewed the sectorial analysis of the revenue and the basis of allocation of revenue and cost to determine if the basis were appropriate and had been properly applied. Appropriate tests were made to ensure compliance with the sectorial policy. No evidence of any error or misstatement in respect of the amounts disclosed as revenue or the related debts or its sectorial allocation came to our attention. Bearer biological assets. The company's bearer biological assets comprise the natural production assets in the form of rubber and oil palm trees. The summary of the costs incurred up to the reporting date is set out in Note 22. The The value of these assets as at the reporting date was 19.4 billion. We carried out tests on the current bearer biological assets to obtain assurance as to their costs. The amounts incurred in the creation of the immature parts of the plantation were subject to tests of accuracy and authenticity. The directors and the management are responsible for the preparation and fair presentation of these financial statements in accordance with international financial reporting standards in the manner required by the Financial Reporting Council Act No. 6 of 2011. These responsibilities include designing, implementing, and maintaining internal control relevant to the preparation and fair presentation of financial statements that are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, selecting and applying appropriate accounting policies, and making accounting estimates that are reasonable in the circumstances. In preparing the financial statements, the management and directors are responsible for assessing the company's ability to continue as a going concern, disclosing as applicable matters relating to the going concern, and using the going concern basis of accounting unless management and the directors either intends to liquidate the company or cease operations or has no realistic alternative but to do so. Auditors' responsibility for the audit of the financial statements. Our objectives are to obtain reasonable assurance about whether the financial statements are free from material misstatement, whether due to fraud or error, and to issue an auditor's report that includes our opinion. Reasonable assurance is a high-level assurance but not a guarantee that an audit conducted in accordance with international standards on auditing will always detect a material misstatement when it exists. Misstatements can arise from fraud or error and are considered material if individually or in the aggregate, they could reasonably be expected to influence the economic decisions of users taken on the basis of these financial statements. As part of the audit, in accordance with ISAs, we exercise professional judgment and maintain professional skepticism throughout the audit. We also identify and assess the risks of material misstatement of the financial statements, whether due to fraud or error, design and perform audit procedures responsive to those risks, and obtain audit evidence that is sufficient and appropriate to provide a basis for our opinion. The risk of not detecting a material misstatement resulting from fraud is higher than one resulting from error, as fraud may involve collusion, forgery, intentional omissions, misrepresentation, or the override of internal control. Obtain an understanding of internal controls relevant to the audit in order to design audit procedures that are appropriate in the circumstances, but not for the purpose of expressing an opinion on the effectiveness of companies' internal control. Evaluate the appropriateness of the significant accounting policies used and the reasonableness of accounting estimates and related disclosures made by management and directors. Conclude on the appropriateness of management and directors' use of the going concern basis of accounting, and based on the audit evidence obtained, whether a material uncertainty exists relating to events or conditions that may cast significant doubt on the company's ability to continue as a going concern. If we conclude that a material uncertainty exists, we are required to draw attention to such in our audit report, to the related disclosures in the financial statements, or if such disclosures are inadequate, to modify our opinion, and whether the financial statements represent underlying transactions and events in the manner that achieves fair presentation. We communicate with those charged with governance regarding, amongst other matters, the planning, scope, and significant audit findings, including any significant deficiencies in the internal controls that we identified during our audit. Report on legal and other regulatory requirements. In accordance with Section 407, subsection 1 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, we can confirm that the financial statements are in agreement with the accounting records, which have been properly kept. In accordance with Section 407, subsection 2 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, we confirm we received all the information.
In compliance with the provision of Section 404, subsection 7 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act 2020, we, the members of the Audit Committee, of Okomu Oil Palm Company PLC, having carried out our functions under the Act, confirm that the accounting and reporting policies of the company as contained in the audited financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2020 are in accordance with legal requirements and agreed ethical practices. We confirm that the external auditors, Messrs. Crowe Davenone, Chartered Accountants, have issued an unqualified opinion on the company financial statement for the year ended 31st December 2020. In our opinion, the scope and planning of the audit for the year ended 31st December 2020 were adequate, and we confirm that the responses by the management to the external auditor's findings on management matters were satisfactory. This report was duly signed by me and other members of the committee, which are as follows: Mr. Ele Ohehe, Mr. Emery Brude, Reverend A. Imadu, Chief D.U. Edebere, and Dr. J.J. Booth. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Peter Iguasa. Ladies and gentlemen, I now lay the financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2020 before you. Some of you may have comments or questions. If so, please use the roving microphone provided after handing your admission card to one of the stewards for noting and return. We require that you speak directly into the microphone and commence by announcing your name before putting your questions. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, board members, shareholders in-house, and those that are watching us live. Adio A. Alex is my name, representing other shareholders here this morning, and I'm leading Dynamic Shareholders Association Incorporated. Good to see you, Mr. Chairman, and every board members and shareholders here present. And I'm delighted to start by saying that you are presenting to us this morning a very clean record, which is an improvement over that of last year, without any doubt. And I'm going to quickly run through it. But let me start on a lighter note, Mr. Chairman, on page number 4. And that starts to do with the notice of meeting. Say the meeting is hereby given that 41st Annual General Meeting of the members of Okomu Oil Palm PLC will be held at the Arbor Point Event Center of no fixed address. Let's address this some other time because of people like us that are not resident in Lagos. I move to the financial highlights on page 11. Page number 11, Mr. Chairman. Every indices here is looking upward. And I quickly made mention of what is being tabulated here. Our revenue grew by 24% from 18 to 23. And we are able to narrow down to profit after tax from 7.7, from 5 to about 7.7, which is about 54%. Dito, our basic earning per share from 5.29 to 8.16, and the net asset grew from 30.59 to 36.46. When you had this all up, Mr. Chairman, in relation to other details that has to do with the financials, that is why we will be going home after giving approval this morning of a 7 naira dividend. And this is an outstanding dividend payout this year that could be considered from other companies. I want to believe that this management team and the board deserves a round of applause. This is not the first time you are paying us this, but it's better, and it could be better. So we want to appreciate that. I want to point out something here before I relate to page 30 and 32. And that is the other comprehensive income. I want to believe we want to put here either net loss, income / loss. Let's check that very well. If that would make it appropriate for me to know why we are having 275 in negative, if I am right. Let's look at page number 30 and 31. That has to do with the statements of the financiers, the position. And I look at the admin. Let's quickly go to page 48, which is relating to the administrative expenses. Page 48. On page 48, Mr. Chairman, I'm looking at the orders that seems fixed. Because it's fixed, that's why I'm asking this question. What are the orders that is fixed there? Then when you are looking at note number 11, and I compare the auditor's remuneration on the same page, 2830, no problem, I don't have a problem with that. Maybe there's a mix-up somewhere. But on page 61 precisely, there's another table. If you go to page 61, referring to the administrative expenses is 2828. So it could be a typo, but if there is something that you need to tell us, let us know. It may not be anything really serious. I look at page 22, which has to do with the corporate governance. The attendance at meetings is fantastic. And the CSR and donation are stable, where we have the pictures. That is fantastic. And I think you should keep it up. But I want to put at this, most of these CSR is related to our areas of operation, which is equally good for our safety and smooth running. I want to advise that we spread to some other areas. In my region, Oyo State, if a post is saying something about Okomu, I feel happy. Everybody will see me here live and say, what's about Okomu? It's about the oil, and we are investors there. So we will relate more with you, Mr. Chairman. If there's any little bit that can come there, we have dilapidated schools, and it will be an addition for this company if we can do that. Mr. Chairman, I want to relate that to, I'm on page 22 again. Let me show you something there. Page 22. Yes. And I look down there where you look at the years of service. I'm talking of the board members. And under the board meetings, you look further down on page 22 precisely, you see the years of service from the chairmans and other members. I can see 29, 31, and thereabout. That is fantastic, Mr. Chairman, because experience over the years makes the difference. But it's a pointer to the age bracket of the people on the board of our company. And because of this, Mr. Chairman, when you stay long and things becomes like that, there's possibility of the saying that this is the way we are doing it. And the changes may not be at speed as time goes on. So I'm advising, Mr. Chairman, that we need to put in place robust succession plan. Robust, very, very robust succession plan. Not today, not tomorrow, but let's begin to think of it so that we can begin to have the input of the younger ones, train them early enough now so that they can move on and keep this result that you are giving this. I relate this to page number 26, Mr. Chairman. Maybe you will see the picture of what I am saying. Page number 26. I see the picture of the audit committees, and I see the young man there, whom I always refer to as a wise man. And I don't know why this young man is wise. That is Moses Brude, because particle of anointing from the elders. So that's equally point to what I'm saying. So let's look inward and do something. And finally, I'm coming to the cover page before page 1. And that has to do with our product, which is Banga red palm oil. And to crown it all is written here, mini pack, now available in sachet. I don't know if it will be too big for me to say where is it available in Nigeria market. Maybe it's restricted to certain areas. And I would love to see this. If we are going to spread, let's push it out. If everything, Dangote and others is on every table, if it's possible and will not be running at a loss, especially the sachets and others, I want to advise that By the time we come next year, you will tell me precisely that you can walk to 3 shops in Lagos and see if the bangers are there. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. God bless you.
Mr. Chairman of Okomu PSC, and our eminent directors of our great company, fellow distinguished shareholder, good morning. My name is Okomu Boniface, the National Chairman of Progressive Shareholders of Nigeria. Mr. Chairman, we are privileged to be here today to represent the thousands of shareholders of this great company. Due to COVID pandemic and in compliance with the directive of the government and SDCC, I want to commend the company for the compliance. We can see the hall as have been distant, social distance, and all the sanitizers from entrance to everywhere, the temperature check. This is a good one for our company. That shows that we're international standard. And I also show that our premises, their distance is obtained by the workforce and to keep our staff safe and healthy. Mr. Chairman, if you look at the page 2 cover of this annual account, mission statement, to be the Nigerian leading agro business through efficient and effective management of our various plantations by a highly motivated workforce, working in harmony with our other stakeholders and continuously returning favorable results to our shareholders. I think this is a testimony indeed that yes, a good returns have been returned to our other stakeholders, shareholders. Mr. Chairman, like the first speaker says, the mini pack now available in sachet, same taste and same value. Mr. Chairman, it's also of interest that we need these things to be in our supermarket as we displayed here, so that people buying red oil today in the open market, most of them are contaminated. But when we have such in the supermarket, in the stores, available, in open market shelf available, that are coming from the source, people can buy it and go home and eat a healthy food. Because today, the Okomu oil have showed a revolution in oil plantations. Because we are the leading producer in the early 60s, before the Malaysians take this away from here. Today, they are one of the largest growers of palm plantation in the world. But I hope and I believe that Nigeria will get back to the lost glory in terms of oil plantations. Because when crude came, and that also blinded our eyes, we neglected these very ones that is also money spinning. The Nigerian neglected it. Thank God for Okomu and one other ones today, a leading firm in the country. And I also want to thank our foreign partners who have shown commitment in bringing this thing to the closer. Mr. Chairman, since you assume position as a chairman of this company, I think this company will be growing leap and bound. I want to commend the board with your tireless effort, making sure that this company is stable. Mr. Chairman, sometime we'll also read that when other companies, multinational companies, that got to do with our products running out of stocks. But I hope that all the investments we are making today, that issue of out of stock will not be there. That all the manufacturing companies that got to do with palm oil will be heavily supplied, and they will have it available as the raw material they needed. That Okomu had a position to make sure that those end users will have this readily available. Mr. Chairman, result at a glance, the early speaker have stated, that's the testimony that the company is doing very well. We paid 4 naira last year, but today 7 naira. But we can also do more. Almost 18.16 earnings. We almost paid it out, but we also have to say, because we know we're also growing some plants. also nonsense. Growing other, not even oil palm, we're also a rubber plantation. Fortunately for us, yes, we can grow the rubber and start exporting them, which we have been doing. Because today, the end rubbers users, which have been tires manufacturing, is no more here. Dunlop has gone, Michelin has gone. But let us produce and export and earn money in foreign exchange, which also help the economy. Mr. Chairman, I take you to page 31. Page 31 on the account. Mr. Chairman, in view of today, we have a newcomer talking about on issue shares. But when we have the growing, look at share capital is at 476 million, 9 million. The share premium, 1.8 billion. Mr. Chairman, revenue reserves, 32 billion. This is attention. I would have hoped that in line with the new directive, that will be beginning to issue bonus to the shareholders, so they don't have this thing piling up here. Mr. Chairman, I think we should have been looking at this, but come next year, let us have to do something with this revenue and premium account. Strict issues with shareholders, so that we don't have overcarrying this thing in our books. Mr. Chairman, trade payables is also getting higher. Trade payables, we should also watch that. Borrowing, Mr. Chairman, we need also is coming down. But, Mr. Chairman, I want also to advise that yes, we are borrowing to also put in place our nursing plant. We have, as I read here, even the chairman's statement, I want to commend the company in what we have been doing to make sure that the aging plantations, as they wither out, others are coming up on board, so that we will continue to do the business we have noted for. Mr. Chairman, on page 32, we're talking about status bars dividend. I hope this 7 million here today, that is one status bar that is still residing in the company, that no government will take this money away from us. Mr. Chairman, we want to commend the registrars. But this company, that means if you have 7 billion status bar, the registrars have been doing well in paying out dividend to shareholders. Because so many registrars will keep this money, but now government are announcing they want to take over this money. Some of them are now releasing this money to shareholders. When you change your address and subscribe to e-dividend, you should be able to get this money. So every money in their custody of registrars will make sure that they look for the shareholders in compliance with the conjunction with the company secretary. Make sure we look for them and get their new address, publish them unclaimed, so that people can be able to access their money instead of going to the people who did not sow and want to reap where they never sow. Today, Mr. Chairman, we are paying heavily tax to the government. Agriculture, government should be able to give this company a tax relief. A tax relief. When to agriculture, we should be able to have a tax relief. Even this dividend we are paying today for operational should have been for started pioneer status. Mr. Chairman, I pray the government, because they don't give incentive to agriculture like these companies who have been helping government to grow and create employment, and they are not doing that. Still, we are paying for them. Look at the donations we have made to the communities. If you looked at this picture from page 63, Mr. Chairman, that tells you a lot the company is doing. Page 62 to 63 to 64. Picture doesn't lie, Mr. Chairman. Ended to page 65. That's a lot of things the company is doing. We are seeing it visible here. Both construction of classroom block, both community lodge, etc., etc. Police, even police are not left out. We have built a lot of things, town hall to communities. Mr. Chairman, boreholes, etc., etc. Even given to, I've seen a lot here during the pandemic, all that you have given to the communities, etc., etc. The chairman, I think with all these things I'll be doing, the community will help to protect our installations so there will be no vandalization. I want to commend the MD for the good job he's doing, making sure that the host community have been taken care of. Mr. Chairman, we're not only also doing that, we also have in page 66, I looked at it, and a stray elephant recently rescued by Okomu Palm PLC, not only producing oil palm to selling, but also helping animals that went stray. I want to commend the company for doing that. That means the company cares. They care for a human being, they care also for animals. That's very, very commendable of this company. Mr. Chairman, we looked at here on page, because I don't want to bore your time, yes, so that we can go back to work. Yes, I'm not taking time, so that we can go back to work. Because this chairman, who I know him, is no nonsense chairman, and that is why he's been everywhere. The two directors here that are close to us are super chairman. If I mention them by their name, they know themselves. And everywhere you hear, you also add them value. And that's why I'm good to associate with this company. And I hope this company, that the directors will be able to serve many companies. We have seen the benefit of being in every quoted company. We have seen their benefit. They are good guys, and we are praying for them. And they're at home when they see us. They feel at home. They are not proud. So I'm proud of you, two of you. You know yourself, I'm mentioning. They are all super chairman. I'm thank God for them. Mr. Chairman, we are seeing here on administrative expenses, that page 48. I want also to commend that we have been prudent. 4.4 billion as against last year. Even though the profit grows, and we are still spending within. I want to commend the management for the prudence we have seen here, etc., etc. Even our auditors, well, not much, 28 to 30. I want to commend everything is in order. Mr. Chairman, I want to also commend for the staff. They say whom much is given, much is better than them. The company also have taken care of the staff workforce. I want to commend the management for taking good care of our staff so that they can produce a healthy balance sheet so that we are not only asking for the twist. Because when you pay them well, when they are well nominated and taking good adequate medical care, they produce the best for us so that we can have a better cake to share. I want to commend them. The chairman, the company secretary, seen his good work by making sure that this annual report get us in time by the research to distributing it. I want to commend him that if we continue to this trajectory, we will not have cause to regret having him in our midst. The company registrars, I have commended them. They have been doing very well. We thank God that this dividend is payable as soon as we pass the resolution now, and we get it allowed before we're exiting the hall. That's the kind of registrar we have, Cardinal Stones. I want to commend them that their relationship with the shareholders are very cordial and very commendable. I want to commend them for what they have been doing in our great company. The chairman, having said all this, I believe that next year shall be better. Since we are starting high dividend, next year maybe 10 naira is possible. MD, yes, next year 10 naira and the bonus, 1 for 2. God bless all of us and God bless our company.
My chairman, Chief Benga Oyebode, the board members, my fellow shareholders, regulatory authorities, and those that are streamed that you are not here physically. My names are Sir Olatunde Okelana, Balogun Olugban of Orilegban in Oyo State, and I represent thousands of shareholders at this meeting, and I lead the Shareholders Mobilization Committee for annual general meetings. We mobilize shareholders for your support. My chairman, I want to congratulate you for another beautiful year. And I want to thank you again for last year, because let me start from last year. The pandemic, which is global, was very severe last year. Though I came, but because I know you, when you have many lawyers on the board, you're always compliant. The MD knows that I was here last year, but because my name was not on the list, no matter how I'm close to Bengo Yebode or Igodalo or the MD or Mr. Iguasa, I was not allowed. But I'm not annoyed. But we thank God for this year, that on a beautiful atmosphere, we were here this year. We believe that next year will still be better than this year. My chairman, I am so happy to be a shareholder of Okomu. Why? Is because things are getting is better in this company. Let me start with your honey per share. Your honey per share is 8 naira 16 kobo, and you are giving us 7 naira. It's a beautiful thing. Please give them a very good round of applause. I know a company in this country, their honey per share was 2 naira 45 kobo. We are only giving 45 kobo. We are not too comfortable. But the way Okomu is treating us, it makes us, anytime we remember that we are shareholders of Okomu, smile comes to our face. We don't force the smile. It comes naturally. Because the board we are looking at and the management, they are very proactive, and the staff are hardworking. Your earnings depends on how many shares, or how many. You might not know what I mean. People that are patronizing you know that it's one of the best oil one can be proud of in this country. So in Ilorin now, there are people that are ready to be your distributor. And I want to tell you that, luckily, you've already asked Amedu to arrange that. Please, Ilorin is the beginning of Kobo. But initially, in this country, prior to 2015, when I take my e-mandate form to First Bank branch or any of the bank I'm using, and it is been endorsed with my account details and everything, and I send it to the registrar, over there is stamped, they will honor it. But SEC has created problems for shareholders. I don't know whether the idea is to make money. They are raping the poor in this country. It's only in this country that we are being overregulated. Regulations in this country is a challenge. So, my dear chairman, let us see what we can do to assist our shareholders. But I don't want to forget that Cardinal Stone have been very helpful. Because once you have a mandate with them before, and you are just changing your mandate, they don't escalate it through that platform, because the law is very explicit. But some stubborn registrars, I don't need to mention them, who are not even quoted, they will do that. You will now discover that sometimes when you have 10 accounts, for example, in Cardinal Stone Registrar, if it's another place, you have FCMB, you have Okomu, you have Skybank, you have about 10 companies. They will now charge you one by one. You now discover on a single account of Okelana or Olatunde Joseph, they will charge me 10 times because I have 10 accounts in that registrar. That will be almost 1,000 plus, which is not the best. That's not the aim of SEC. So I want SEC to let us know why this is like that. Having said that, my chairman, I want to commend the way you are getting to us. For example, let me start with the MD. The MD is very proactive and very, very accessible. If you send him a message, you want to get clarification from him, if he does not pick his call, in the next 10, 20, 30 minutes, if he's busy, if he's less busy, he will return your whatever message and give you the information you require. Many MDs does not do that. But I want to tell you today that Dr. Eva is very, very proactive, and he responds to shareholders at a given opportunity. I want to tell you that we are very grateful for what you are doing. And like other shareholders have said, the secret of our success is our staff. Please continue to take good care of them. And to buttress the point of Pastor Alex Adio, in the area of your CSR, don't be stereotyped. You've been a little bit stereotyped by taking care of your host community alone. Okomu is a PLC. It means there are shareholders in Ogbomoso, there are shareholders in Osogbo, there are shareholders in Abeokuta, there are shareholders from Bengoyebode village as well. It's not from that location where you have your office. Spread this thing no matter how small. In the area of education, education is the most important asset in this country. And secondly, your human resources. Don't forget our people. You can imagine, as a shareholder, I sent my daughter to a private university for 4 years, and it cost me 7 million naira for that 4 years. And after the service, my daughter is sitting at home. Are you saying in Okomu oil, you are not, you don't, occasionally when some people retired as per age or anything, don't you replace them? If you do occasionally, give us opportunity. We are your shareholders. We have our children. They are not doing anything. They are sitting down at home. So if I have my investments with you, you can always empower me by the time you employ my daughter or my son, provided they are qualified. Please take note of that. It's because you have a wonderful human resources. And I want you to always consider our children, because it is very important. Then next year, in your annual report, I know that Chief Obi, that I know very well, it might be an oversight. Most of the picture we took today as the shareholders representative, let it reflect on your annual report. It is, people will know that we are part of you and you are part of us. And they will know that we are representing you. We are your public relation officer, though not being remunerated. Because if I market for Okomu, I am doing myself a lot of good. Because if your products are in a high demand, and your product are marketing, they are working very well, and your sales is very okay, it will affect the bottom line positively. So always make sure in your next report, things are there. So I want to tell you that I am very grateful for giving me an opportunity to be here today. Because as a shareholder, I always like to be with you, because we trust your board, and we've been with you over the years. And we know that by the grace of God, this company will continue to grow from strength to strength. As I'm going to sit down, I want to congratulate all the lawyers on this board, especially the chairman. Anywhere you see lawyers, they are always compliant. So that's why I'm not annoyed with Dr. Efa occasionally when he does something very strictly. He's very strict and proactive. Yes, they are all lawyers. They are like that. So thank you for giving an opportunity. I pray to see you again next year. God bless Nigerian shareholders. God bless the board and the management of Okomu. Thank you.
One more question.
Thank you very much, my great chairman. I call you great chairman because I know you in many places. And the truth, the honest truth is that wherever you are, good things come from you. So my prayer is that good things should also follow you as you go. Having said that, sir, my name is Ibekwe Robert Adenoba, a shareholder, of course, but I'm standing on behalf of SAS Onimosu. So, I'm so pleased, sir, with the annual accounts and reports of Okomu. Okomu has proved to us that you are an oil company, oil producing company. And of course, it's looking better than the petroleum, the oil and gas, because you are doing us greatly, wonderfully well. With the dividends we have declared, we are so pleased because some petroleum companies did not come half of what you are giving us. And this has been consistent for some time. So we are so grateful shareholders are pleased with Okomu. Like I did mention, you have proved that you are an oil company. But I want to ask a question from you, sir. What efforts, steps are you taking to maximize to take to the optimum level the products of palm oil. Yes, we are always seeing your red oil, which is very fantastic, very beautiful. But how about the byproducts of palm oil? I hope you are making the best use of all the byproducts. So I'm employing you to please take advantage of that so that at the end of the day, more, better, bottom line, and dividend will come to shareholders. Having said that, sir, I'm also so happy about the reports, which is very, very compliant, corporate governance compliant. I want to use that to make reference to what the auditor said, and I want to quote the auditor, that we also, sorry please, he said that no evidence of any error or misstatements in respect of the amount disclosed. So all the disclosures in the annual accounts are actually perfect, and I thank you for that. Shareholders are so pleased. Now, making reference to one of the statements that was made by one of our earlier speakers about the Banga Mini Park, I have always used Okomu oil, and it's very good. I'm pleased that we are going to have it in what you call, what they call it now, Wazobia, Wazo. That is to say that it can reach many users. But there's one question I want to ask. In our annual report, which is actually very detailed, don't you think that it will be an added advantage to the company, to the shareholders, for us to have lists of our distributors, so that we in Lagos, whenever we want to, have Okomu oil, we know where to go for it. So it will be a very good thing if we can have the list of our distributors, pan-Nigeria, Lagos in particular, where I am based. So I ask the chairman to please direct that this should be included. Having said that, the annual report is fantastic and is historical. I can only ask that we do not overflog or take too long a time to approve all the items on the agenda so that we'll be having our dividend. Thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you very much, shareholders. Thank you very much for all your comments. Let me very quickly try and address some of the issues that have been raised. I think it's important that as shareholders have given us some feedback and some comments that we should very quickly address them. I thank all the shareholder representatives that have spoken. Thank you for the commendations, particularly to management and to our staff. People have done an extremely good job, as is borne out of the figures that you see in our annual reports: profitability, increase in revenue, on the ground, increased planting, our new mill. All of these things are born out of the dedication of our staff and the policies that the board has set in place. I think that Mr. Alex Adio mentioned about succession planning. Let me assure you that that is not something that we take lightly. We are looking at bringing on new people onto the board. You will see that one of the resolutions of today is to bring on somebody who comes with significant skill and experience in the capital markets onto the board. I think the other issue that was made has come through on a lot of different speakers is around the distribution of our product. Yes, the sachets are there. Obviously, we're starting to see increased satirization of the market, whether it's in soaps or vegetable oil or in palm oil or in cereals or in almost in everything that you see today, we are starting to pack them in sachets because of reduced buying power of the retail consumer. And so that is definitely something that we've had to respond to also. I can assure you that if there's a limiting factor, it's just that we're not producing enough. So it is not an inability to market or distribute. It is just that our production is where it is, not because we don't continue to invest, as you know, to plant, to build mills, but that's one of the issues. I think Mr. Okezie talked about tax relief and CSR. What I would say to you is that all of us should come together to encourage government. If the agriculture in Ovia, one of our biggest challenges is just really the rural nature of our communities, and to the extent that we are the biggest employer of labor in those areas, our CSR cannot but be centered around our people. The schools, the roads, the clinics, as you will see in the pictures that are in the annual report, we don't want to be all things to the people in our local community, but we cannot be successful and have people not be able to count themselves as lucky that we are in their vicinity. So let me quickly say that they remain the focus of our CSR efforts, but for good reason. I think Balogun Okelano also talked about distribution of product and CSR, and Mr. Robert Ibekwe talked also about distribution. You did mention about the other byproducts of the oil palm industry. Let me assure you that we are not found wanting in that regard. We are also major sellers of palm kernel oil, which comes from the kernel itself. We don't do vegetable oil, but we sell our palm oil to other refiners who are out there. So we know exactly how to maximize returns. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much to our fellow shareholders who have asked questions and commented on the success of our company. Thank you. I would now like to move to agenda item 2, and that is the resolution with respect to the declaration of dividends. The board and directors has recommended that a dividend payment of 7 naira per 50 kobo share, subject to withholding tax, be declared in respect of the year ended December 31st, 2020, and made payable by the 26th of May. I note that the 26th of May is today, so payment will be made today. Accordingly, I propose that a dividend of 7 naira per share, amounting to 6,677,370,000 naira, be and is hereby declared in respect of the year ended 31st December 2020, payable on Wednesday, 26th May 2021, after deduction of withholding tax at the appropriate rate for those shareholders registered in the books of the company at the close of business on Thursday, 13th May 2021. Can I have a shareholder please rise and second this motion? If you don't mind, I would like to have one of the women because they haven't spoken. Yes, can you?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okele Yadinike Elizabeth is my name. I second that motion.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I will not put that motion to vote, and I will hand over to the registrars to manage the voting process.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The voting session will last for approximately 20 seconds. On the resolution to declare a dividend, voting starts now, please. Voting ends now. Mr. Chairman, may I have a permission? On the resolution to declare a dividend, we have 100% votes in person and by way of proxy in favor of the resolution, amounting to 737,136,131 units of Okomu PLC shares. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Following the results of the voting as announced by the register, I hereby declare that the resolution to declare a dividend of 7 naira per share in respect of the period ended December 31st, 2020 has been passed. Agenda item 3 is the resolution to re-elect directors. In accordance with our Articles of Association, 1/3 of the non-executive directors will retire at this AGM and being eligible have offered themselves for re-election. The directors are Philippe Detro, the warden, Hubert Fabry, and Mr. Sven Claes. In compliance with Section 278 of the Companies and Allied Matters 2020, the disclosure of the age of directors who are 70 years or more at an AGM, I wish to notify members of the company that Mr. Philippe Detro, the warden, is 70 years old before this election. To speed up the process, I move that a single resolution be adopted to appoint directors offering themselves for re-election. Is there any objection to this motion? No problem. So we'll take the resolutions individually, singly. I hereby move that in accordance with the Articles of Association of our company, that Mr. Philippe Detro, the warden, having retired as a director and being eligible and now offering himself for re-election, be re-elected. Can shareholders please rise and second that motion?
Mr. Chairman, I rise to second that motion. Okay, Boniface.
Thank you very much. We'll now put the resolution to a vote. Yes, please go ahead.
On the resolution to re-elect Mr. Philippe Detro as director, voting starts now. Voting ends now. Mr. Chairman, may I have a permission to read it?
Go ahead.
On the resolution to elect Mr. Philip Detro as director, we have 100% votes in person and by way of proxy in favor of this resolution, amounting to 701,223,995 units of shares. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. The next item is the motion to re-elect Mr. Hubert Fabry. In accordance with the Articles of Association, Mr. Hubert Fabry, having retired as a director and being eligible, is now offering himself for re-election. Can a shareholder please rise and second? Thank you. Mr. Ibekwe. Oh, sorry. Let me take the... Yes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Christy Vincent, I second.
Thank you very much, Christy Vincent. Yes, Mr. Registrar.
On the resolution to re-elect Mr. Hubert Fabry as director, voting starts now. Voting ends now. Mr. Chairman, may I
yes,
have
go ahead.
On the resolution to re-elect Mr. Hubert Fabry as director, we have 100% vote in person and by way of proxy in favor of this resolution, amounting to 701,224,995 units of shares. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I hereby move that in accordance with the Articles of Association of our company, that Mr. Sven Clays, having retired as a director and being eligible and now offering himself for re-election, be re-elected. Can I have a shareholder, please? Thank you, Mr. Bekwe. Okay, no. All right, no problem. Can we have another? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Okele Yandenike Elizabeth. I second that motion.
Thank you very much. Please go ahead.
On the resolution to re-elect Mr. Sven Clays as director, voting start now. Voting ends now. May I have a permission, Mr.
Yes, please go ahead.
On the resolution to re-elect Mr. Sven Clays as director, we have 100% votes in person and by way of proxy in favor of this resolution, amounting to 746,328,131 units of shares. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll now proceed to agenda item 4, which is to appoint new directors. I hereby propose that Mr. Aswe Godalo, who after completing a 9-year tenure as an independent director and whose profile is contained in the annual reports, be elected as a non-executive director. Mr. Aswe Godalo. Thank you.
Adeoye Alex is the name, Mr. Chairman. I rise to second that motion.
Thank you very much. Yes, let us.
On the resolution to re-elect Mr. Aswe Godalo as director, voting starts now. Voting ends now.
Yes.
I have a permission, Mr.
Yes, please go ahead.
On the resolution to re-elect Mr. Aswe Godalo as director, we have 100% vote in person and by way of proxy in favor of this resolution, amounting to 710,389,995 units of shares. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. The next item is, thank you very much. I hereby propose that Mrs. Vivian Shobo, whose profile is contained in the annual report and accounts, is hereby elected. Yes. No problem. I'll do that. I hereby propose that Mrs. Vivian Shobo, whose profile is contained in the annual report and accounts, be elected as an independent non-executive director of our company. Can I have a member please second the resolution? Thank you, Chief Okelano. Registrar?
On the resolution to re-elect Mrs. Vivian Shobo as director, voting starts now. Voting ends now. I have a permission, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
On the resolution to re-elect Mrs. Vivian Shobo as director, we have 100% vote in person by way of proxy in favor of this resolution, amounting to 710,389,905 units of shares. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I declare that the resolution is carried unanimously for the election of Mrs. Vivian Shobo, Mr. Aswe Godalo, Mr. Sven Clays, Mr. Huber Fabry, and Baron Philippe Detro, the warden. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I will now proceed to the fifth item on the agenda, and this is to, in line with the Code of Corporate Governance and the tenure of our external auditors, Messrs. Howard Dafinone, having completed a successful 10 years of service as external auditors of our company, have now retired. Your board and management have indicated that we would propose to appoint Ernst & Young as our new external auditors and to fix their remuneration. Will a member please second that resolution?
Mr. Chairman, in view of the retirement of the following, I think they have done very well for this company because of the statutory tenure and the half disease. I want to commend them for the job well done. And Ernst & Young, also a good company we're familiar with, Based on the recommendation, I support that motion. Okay, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Okeze. Registrar?
On the resolution to authorize directors to appoint the auditors and determine their remuneration, voting starts now. Resolution 5. Voting ends now. I have a permission, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
On the resolution to authorize the directors to appoint the auditors and determine their remuneration, we have 100% vote in person and by way of proxy in favor of this resolution, amounted to 710,389,995 units of shares. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I declare that that resolution is carried unanimously. The next item on the agenda is the election of members of the Audit Committee. Sections 404 subsection 3 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act provides that a maximum of 5 members of the Audit Committee consisting of 2 directors and 3 representatives of shareholders be elected. The Act further provides that in the case of the election of the shareholder representatives, nominees should be received not later than 21 days before the date of the meeting. The Company Secretary has reported that pursuant to Section 404.3 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act, valid nominations for election of the Audit Committee had been received from 4 shareholders within the statutory time limit of 21 days before this annual general meeting. However, there were only 3 valid nominations in the persons of Moses Ibrude, Reverend Leonard Ohehe, and Reverend Andrew Imadu. In that light, there will be no need for the election to take place. Ladies and gentlemen, there are 2 or more seats to be filled in accordance with the Companies and Allied Matters Act on the Audit Committee, and the board will at its next board meeting elect the 2 directors who will fill the seats in order to bring membership of the Audit Committee members in conformity with subsection 4, section 404, subsection 3. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the following 3 representatives of shareholders, Messrs. Moses Ibrude, Leonard Onhehe, and Andrew Imadu, are hereby elected as members of the Audit Committee until the conclusion of the next annual general meeting. Thank you very much, and congratulations to our Audit Committee members. The next item is to disclose the remuneration of managers. Distinguished shareholders, page 18 of the annual report and accounts contains the remuneration of managers of the company in compliance with Section 238 and Section 237 of the Companies and Allied Matters Act. Thank you very much. Item 8 is the special business of approval of remuneration of directors. Under Article 95 of the Company's Articles of Association, directors shall be entitled to such remuneration as shall from time to time be determined by the company in general meeting. I hereby propose that directors' emoluments in respect of fees amounting to 87,942,000 naira for the year ended 31st December 2020 be and is hereby approved. Would a shareholder please second this motion? Thank you, Mr. Aji. Thank you very much. We'll now put this resolution to a vote and hand over to the registrars.
On the resolution to fix remuneration of directors, voting starts now. Voting ends now. Mr. Chairman, may I have a permission?
Yes.
On the resolution to fix remuneration of directors, we have 100% votes in person and by way of proxy in favor of this resolution, amounting to 710,389,995 units of shares. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Following the results of the voting as announced by the registrar, I hereby declare that the resolution to approve the emoluments of the directors for the year ended December 31, 2020 has been passed. The ninth item on the agenda is a special business, which is to amend the Memorandum and Articles of Association of the company. The amendments have already been in circulation. Those amendments are contained in the attached annexure to the annual report, which was circulated. I would like to move that the amendments made to the Memorandum and Articles of Association of our company as per the attached annexure already circulated be and is hereby approved. Thank you.
Chief Olatunde Okelana is my name. I move that motion as read by the chairman.
Thank you very much. I now call on the registrars.
On resolution to amend the Memorandum and Articles of Association of the company, voting starts now. Voting ends now. May I have a permission, Mr. Chairman?
Please go ahead.
On the resolution to amend the Memorandum and Articles of Association of the company, we have 100% vote in person and by way of proxy in favor of this resolution, amounting to 710,389,995 units of shares. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. I declare that the resolution has been carried unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Registrar. Ladies and gentlemen, as there is no other business to be considered at this meeting, I'd like to thank you on behalf of the board for your attendance at this meeting. We express our appreciation for continued interest and support for our company over the years. I thank our regulators and other stakeholders for coming. Our company continues to do what it knows, which is our business of oil palm and rubber production in Edo State, in Ovia Southwest. We thank you for all your support, especially during this COVID pandemic. Happy that we are able to continue to increase turnover, to declare profits, to take care of all our stakeholders, including in our local communities. So again, thank you very, very much for your attendance here today. I will now declare the meeting closed and we will rise for the national anthem.